Greetings once again, students, to those of you who were with me earlier, and also to those of you who were not. And apologies to those of you who tried to get into the session unsuccessfully. What happened was we had connectivity issues. So we apologize for that, and I will always make sure that I get my notes to you in one way or another. So today what we covered was I introduced myself. I'm Oscar Eybers. I'm your lecturer for the semester, and I shared my contact details. Those are coming up now. And then I also gave instructions on how to access the ALL workbook, but I've also emailed that to you guys. And then I briefly spoke about academic literacy. I'll do that very quickly in this session also. And then we started to speak about your first assessment. So this is how you can reach me. That's my email there. Generally, I'm online from the time that we meet on Mondays up until 10. But if you'd like to meet with me one-on-one in Collaborate, just drop me an email and we can do that as well. It is important to access the study guide. I found out that the course coordinator deliberately only put those 16 pages there, so I jumped the gun, but that's fine. We need to get working and time is of the essence. So in the emailed notes that I sent to you, if you click on that link, then you will be able to access the full study guide there. Okay, so I don't want to dwell on this now. We've got the whole semester to think about this, but the main points that I made today are that there are multiple literacies. Okay, so let's say for every identity there is an associated literacy or way of using language. The way that you speak to your family members is a unique way of using literacy, and by literacy I mean thinking, reading, writing, listening, so on. The way you communicate and use language with your family or off-campus usages of language is different to what happens on campus. Okay, so that's the one point. The second point is that the same thing happens on campus. So an economist will not use language in the exact same way as a managerial specialist. There are unique theories and concepts that are specific to those disciplines. So what's important for you to understand is that you have multiple identities. You're a family member, you're a student, you're a future expert, but you also engage in multiple literacies. We briefly touched upon assessment 1, and I don't want to go too deeply into this, but to summarize, number 1, you guys are required to write a literacy narrative reflecting on the texts that are in your study guide. I think they start on page 20. So please read those 3 before we meet next Wednesday. And then also I'd like for you to take a look at the application on page 32. Sharing that with you right now. This is actually your assessment. I also don't want to go too deeply into this now, but you can see that there is a framework that you are required to use. Okay? And I have put this framework into this graphic here for you. So to briefly summarize, your assessment 1 requires you to reflect on one of the 3 texts, but in your reflection you need to apply these 4 concepts that I'm sharing with you now, and we briefly discussed this earlier today. So a domain is where language is used. Sponsors are the people who are involved. Tools and artifacts, those are the technology that is used to communicate, whether it's our voice or a phone or a laptop. And then the practices is the actual literacy practice. So is it reading? Is it writing? Is it listening? Is it thinking? Okay? So I won't go much deeper into this now. We will continue next week. That is how you can reach me. And I'm an email away.